Dish, we are having a wonderful conversation with our guest, Kareem, who has revealed to us that he is HIV positive, and he found out back in 2003. He has disclosed his information to his parents and his partner. He's been in a relationship for 9 months. Kareem?
And I also think it's important to say that Kareem is kind of using this as a platform for himself, that he wants to really, be someone that's a voice for this and speak out. And you actually have an advertisement, I think, coming out soon too. So I think it's important to know that.
Sometime in July, I did a HIV campaign for HIV medicine. It comes out sometime in July, and it will be featured in all of the Paz magazines. You can catch it on all of, in all of the doctor's office, and so I'm very excited, and I look forward to that.
Okay, now this conversation was sparked by an email we received from one of our viewers. However, we have touched on this subject several times. So everybody, you're going to have to go and look at all the episodes of the Dish, and not see 2 and 3 and think that we don't discuss things that go on in our community, but we have discussed this. But we are so glad to have Kareem here. And before we left, we were talking about him and his family. He revealed to his family that he was HIV positive. Now I want to know the reaction of your parents then and now.
The reaction from my parents then and now. In the beginning, my mother, she's a warrior. I'm a mama's boy, so she's very protective over her children. And it was difficult in the beginning, but I felt as if my mother was being strong for me. She wanted to be strong with me and strong for me. Although it was something that she was, really didn't know how to deal with as time progressed and as time moved on. My mother, again, as I said, she has been very supportive over everything that I've done in my life. So in the beginning, it was very hard for her. She wouldn't show me or express when she was having her moments of worry, but as she told me, she said it wasn't a day that didn't go by that I did not think about it. But as I saw how strong you were, as I saw how you began to take better care of yourself. In the beginning, my mother was a little worried when I told her that I wanted to speak out about it. She was afraid of the backlash that I would get, the negativity. But again, as a family that prays together, stays together, and my mother, she has been my rock through it all. My father, when I told my father that I was HIV positive, this was 2 years ago, and it's so funny because everything happens for a reason. Because in that time, that was the bonding moment that brought me and my father back together. My father has always been a big part of my life, in and out, for his own reasons at the time, which I had to grow to understand. But through that, it's funny because it took that for us to really bond, to really connect, to really get to know one another, because we didn't really have that father-son relationship. So he handled it very well. Unfortunately, January 7th of 2011, he passed away. So I'm actually wearing his shirt right now. So although it gets tight and tight, I'll just keep wearing it till I'm busting out. But he was a fighter. He was a fighter, and it was good to be able to talk to my own father about dealing with this. It was the best gift that I think that God has given me. Mm-hmm. It truly is.
Mm-hmm. Kareem, I want to ask you this. You spoke on earlier about self-love, and I know, like you said, I do agree everybody's journey and story is different. And if I remember you stating correctly that the relationship that you're in now, the person who you were with before was already in your life before y'all got together and knew that you were, I guess you could say, an advocate for wanting to speak out about awareness. Is that true? Okay. My question to you is, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm asking this question. My question to you is do you think it would have been different if someone else who did not know in your arena that you were wanting to be an advocate to raise awareness, somebody that you just, met maybe going to the movies or to the store, whatever the case may be, and you told them, a month later, or if you told them at the beginning, do you think that would have been any different opposed to somebody who already knew your past or knew who you were and what you were about beforehand because y'all were friends?
I don't think so, because I was in that situation before. I did meet a good friend. Mm-hmm. I met someone, 2 years ago, and I told them about me as well. And they, too, were very supportive. And I think that's why I feel as though I really would like to, like you said, using this as a platform, because regardless if it's someone that you know, regardless if it's someone from all the way across the other side of the world, I realize if you are honest with people, people respect that. People respect that a lot. And this person didn't know me from a can of spray paint, and this person was also very accepting and very embracing. So it has all of those fears and all of those years of dark thoughts. No one's going to love me. No one. I'm never going to be in a relationship. I'm never going to get the job I want. I'm never going to be able to be this person that I want to be because of this. That's why I feel like I like to say that all of those thoughts of limits of never going to have this, they're false.
And I would imagine that that's really freeing too.
The reason why I was asking that is because when I've had to deal with, kids or kids of mine, because I have children, and I've heard people saying that they did not want to reveal their status, or they did not want to reveal to people for different reasons. The reason why I ask that is because I'm a type of person, and I've always taught people that if someone's going to love you, they're going to love you for you. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter, if just like you said, they're going to accept all of you. And you have shared something to me today, whether if you know it or not. Now, if it would be me in your shoes, I would probably just say, look, this is what it is at the very beginning, because I would not want to set myself up for if I got tangled with the feelings and then have to go through the rejection part of this, that, and the other. And with me being transgender, there are sometimes, and I've been with kids of mine who will say, why did you just disclose your T to that man? You don't know him from Adam. Because I don't have time to go through the drama. I know everybody's different.
And I agree.
I know everybody's different. And I think we're, the entertainers and people in our community, we're a lot stronger because we can wear a lot of things a lot heavier. That's why we are the parental figures in people's lives. That's why we are the comedians and things of that nature, and we're over shows, and we have a larger responsibility with being able to do different things. But in that, and answering your question, that has shed some light to me to if I have to address that situation to somebody else, I'm not saying somebody else might be that strong, because to tell somebody, if they walk up to you and say, hey sweetie, how you doing, can I go out and this, that, and other, baby, this is not what it is. I'm going to tell you, this is exactly what it is. Everybody can't deal with that. You know what I'm saying?
And also, I think,
so I commend you for being able to.
A lot of people that have been HIV positive and people who have, had AIDS, and I've noticed that the people with the positive attitudes about the situation, they live a lot longer than the people who take it as a death sentence. And I want to know from you.
Positive people around them.
Right, and I want to know from you, since you've been on this walk, and this is something that we've discussed as a group, as a community. You're an African American young man, and there's a lot going on when it comes to African Americans being out in the forefront, fighting for HIV and AIDS, and for people to get tested and all that. How do you see the difference between the African American community, how we deal with it, and the white community, how they deal with it?
Honestly, I love my people, but I feel that the African American community sometimes give up hope. Just give up hope. I don't want to say, but that's just personally how I feel, because I can't speak for all, but I do feel that it's a difference, and I don't think that our community sometimes comes together. Mm-hmm. I don't feel that sense of that open heart, that support, because if it was, I think that more people would be willing to share. More people would be more willing to be open. And in our community, it's just some people just, they use it as just like the way that it comes out of their mouth, as if it's just like, oh, this thing is sick, and it's like that is what keeps people from disclosing.
And unfortunately, you're absolutely right. You bring up a great point. Our community is like that a lot of times with this situation and with many other situations. We often don't embrace people, and we use things as something against people or as a way to pass judgment, which is really,
and
unfortunate.
a lot of times when people make those type of comments or innuendos, that's their own insecurities of what they're afraid that they might have to face or cover, might be.
And the truth of the matter is, we're all a candidate for being HIV positive. Anybody who has sex, so if you're never going to have sex, then you might be okay. But if you have sex, there's a chance that you may be. And you kind of talked to, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, one reason I asked you that question was this past weekend, I was at home and I watched an episode on BET, and I forgot what show it was, but it was something going on with the African Americans, and they were talking about, like, there were celebrities like Magic Johnson and Jack Hay and all these different celebrities were there, and they were talking about the African Americans dealing with HIV and AIDS as opposed to the white Americans dealing with it. And one of the things that Magic Johnson said himself, he said, what the African Americans need to do is, because the percentage is so high in our community when it comes to HIV and AIDS, he said we need to get the blueprint from what the white people were doing, because now it's like they are doing stuff, and what they did, it has brought the AIDS, down in their community, but it is steady going up in the African American community. And the African American, we are a small percentage when it comes to the white community. However, the AIDS percentage in our community is greater. So they were saying that some of the things that we should do is look at what they did. All the different programs that they started and different things that they were doing to combat this disease. That's what we need to do.
And Right. You mentioned that too, but I also wonder if and this is just a thought as you said that, it made me think about, because I know even for myself, and I think about people in my family, my father, a lot of times African Americans don't go to the doctor as regularly as Caucasian Americans do. Not just for HIV testing, but for anything. So I wonder if, and not to discredit or make light of, but I wonder if just now that more African Americans are finding out what their status is, period, as opposed to when it really came out, you did mostly see gay white men that were affected, or infected.
And because a lot of us don't go, a lot of people have organizations that come to us, but a lot of people still don't want to take advantage of the organizations. I think it's because where they are, like if you're at the club and they come and they do a lot of, people still think people are still watching them, and they don't want them to, she over there taking this test or X, Y, and Z, so they still don't want to know.
Right. And in a lot of ways, it is a very private, I think, thing to deal with, and it is going to take you some time, I think, to come to terms with that.
And one of the things I think that was so beautiful that they brought out in this episode was Blair Underwood. Blair Underwood, he has this whole campaign where he has a mobile truck and he drives around, the truck goes around a different community, and they test people and all that stuff. And one of the things that they're combating is the straight men. They're getting the straight men to go and speak about HIV and AIDS. And there was one actor on there, I forget his name, but he said that the reason that he is starting to talk about it is because he had a brother who passed. And once his brother passed, it changed his whole perspective of the disease. And a lot of the straight men, straight African American men, don't go and talk about it because the stigma that if I'm talking about this, then I must be guilty, I must have it, and I must be HIV positive. That was one of the things that Magic Johnson talked about too, is that we have to get over that stigma that, if I go to speak at an AIDS organization or an AIDS convention or something like that, that people are going to automatically assume that I have HIV. And I see you holding a sign up, D. West. I know we have to go, but we have to come back because this conversation is so good. You're enlightening us on so much, and there's so much more we want to discuss with you. So we're going to take a break.
Did we answer the viewers' comment?
No, we didn't.
We're going to come back and answer the viewers' comment on when do you disclose the status, when you're in a relationship with someone.